Let's do a 24-hour readathon. Hi, my name is Jamie. I make bookish content here on YouTube and I'm very excited because today I'm doing a 24-hour readathon. I'm reading for 24 hours, but the catch is I'm not allowed to use my phone whatsoever. I am locking my phone in a box. By that I mean I'm giving it to my boyfriend. He can hide it from me and I cannot use my phone, so we can see how much that I can actually read when I have like zero distractions. The only exception is using my laptop to update my Goodreads and then I have to put it away. So that is the only exception. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to get started. I'm excited to kind of shut myself off from the world. It's a really beautiful day, so hopefully I can do some reading outside in the sun. And I'm just so excited. I have a very ambitious TBR. It's kind of ridiculous. 10 books on the TBR, I don't know how possible that is, but I have selected some short books from my physical TBR, so maybe that can help me get through some more of all the books that I have on my shelf. I'm excited and kind of nervous, but if anyone tries to reach me today, Thursday the 16th of November, I'm sorry. I'm doing a 24-hour readathon. Let's start by going through my TBR and telling you what books I'm currently in the middle of. So I'm currently in the middle of 2 books and I would love to complete those during this 24-hour period. The first one is Stalking Jack the Ripper, and I'm on page 124 of this book. I'm reading this for my Patreon. We're doing a series read along of this book series, and I don't know, I'm really enjoying it. At the moment, I'm not even quite halfway. At the moment, I would say it's probably heading towards a 4-star rating, which is obviously very good. And yeah, I don't know, it's a really fun time. Basically, we follow our main character, Audrey Rose. It's set in the 1800s, like Victorian era England, and Audrey Rose is a forensics apprentice underneath her uncle, like studying and learning underneath her uncle. And there's also another apprentice called Thomas Cresswell, who is like literally one of my favorite characters of all time. He's so cool. There is a murderer going around killing a lot of people very brutally, and Audrey and Thomas are trying to uncover this mystery. So it's a bit of a historical fiction murder mystery. It's YA. It's very easy to read, like a very fun time, and I'm having such a good time like kind of playing detective while reading this book. Like there are so many kind of clues and red herrings and foreshadowing, and I'm really enjoying it. I really enjoy the 2 characters, so I feel like this will be a really fun book to pick up during the 24 hours. Then I'm also in the middle of a romantasy book on my Kindle, which I actually started last night, so I'm only like 12% through, but that book is called Bewitched. This is actually one of the nominees for the new Goodreads Choice Awards category in romantasy, and I bought this on my Kindle for free during one of those like stuff your Kindle days where like a bunch of indie books are free. But yeah, this is an indie like romantasy. We follow our main character Celine, and she is a witch who's trying to join a coven, but she has this thing with her magic where if she uses her magic, she loses a part of her memory, and that kind of sets her back from some of the other witches. But the coven that she wants to get into have kind of given her these 2 tasks, and she needs to complete those tasks before she can get into this coven, which she really wants to. And then I think there's also this other guy who, I don't know what his name is, I think it's Memnon. He has lost his wife. He's also a powerful magic wielder. He's lost his wife, and then I think he's like calling to Celine. I've only just started, so I don't really understand the full kind of like plot right now, but it's interesting so far, and I do want to read more of this, I think, because it's a really fast read at the moment. Like the only reason that I have only made it to 12% is because I started it at like midnight, so I was just getting very sleepy. But it's very fun so far, so I'd love to get through more of that. And then because I don't want this intro to be like 20 minutes long, I'll quickly go through some of the books on my TBR. This is this big pile here. Of course, if I finish Stalking Jack the Ripper, I would love to move on to Hunting Prince Dracula, which is the 2nd book in that series. I don't know what this one will entail because I don't even know how Stalking Jack the Ripper finishes yet, but I would love to continue the series, especially because it's for my Patreon. So, and this one looks really exciting because vampires, hopefully. Yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. So definitely have this on the TBR. Another Patreon read, I would love to read A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing, which is our book club pick. I also find that thrillers go by super fast, and Samantha Downing has written one of my favorite thrillers of all time called My Lovely Wife. So I would love to get through this one as well. I believe it's about a married couple who are slightly sinister, and that's very exciting. I would also love to pick up Red Rising by Pierce Brown, which I'm also reading for another video, but this is a science fiction dystopian, and I know that it's like very popular at the moment. Like I bought it back when it was really popular in like, you know, like 4 or 5 years ago, and then now it's kind of had a resurgence, and I don't know, it's been sitting on my bookshelf for so long. I just love to get to it, and I feel like this will be very different from all the other books on my TBR. I've I've got 2 romances here, one that was on my November TBR and then one that I just am really in the mood for. The one I'm really in the mood for is Can I Steal You for a Second by Jodie McAllister, which is the companion novel to a book that I read earlier in the year called Here for the Right Reasons, and it's a romance like set on a reality TV show, and this one is sapphic. I really love the writing style of the first one, and I think this one is like the same time frame that the first book was, and I love lesbians and I love reality TV, and it just sounds really, really fun. So I know this will be a quick, fast read, and I'm just very, very excited to read it. And then I would also love to read Vipers and Virtuosos by Sav R. Miller, which is a dark romance. It's like a rock star romance. I actually read a dark romance very recently and actually really enjoyed it, so I feel like this could be really fun as well. And this is the second book in the Monsters and Muses series, and I've read book 1 in that series, which was called Promises and Pomegranates, and that was so fun. Mafia romance, like I haven't read anything like it. And yeah, this one's rock star, so I feel like that could be really fun. I love the One of Us is Famous trope so much. I would also love to pick up The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, which is a novel all told in verse, and it's about a black teenager and slam poetry and all of the stuff that she kind of has to go through. I feel like this will be a very impactful read, and I'm very excited to kind of experience the emotions that will come with this one. Also, talking of experiencing emotions, I picked out maybe the shortest book on my bookshelf, but I really feel like a good cry. I haven't read anything super emotional in a while. Well, I actually know that's a lie, I have, but like not this month. I haven't read anything super emotional this month, so I would love to read And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Frederick Buckman. It's about 60 pages long, so I feel like this will be a really, really good like emotional short experience in between some of my larger books. So yeah, I would love to read this. I love Frederick Buckman's writing style. I believe it's about an older man with dementia, and it's just a little short story. And then finally, the last book that I placed on my TBR was Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire, which is another really short fantasy novella, and it's the first in a series. It's the first in the Wayward Children series, and I believe it's kind of like portal magic and I don't know, maybe orphans or wayward children. It's the Wayward Children series, so I believe it's about like kids, but I've heard amazing things about this series, so I would love to get into this one as well. And I feel like again it will be another really good like short book to break up some of my bigger ones. So these are all the books on my TBR. I have no idea what I'm going to start with, to be honest. Everything looks amazing. I think I might start nice and easy and read Can I Steal You for a Second, because I know this will be a fast read. I know I'll probably enjoy it, and I'm excited to dive back into this world. So yeah, I'm probably gonna start with this one. And now I'm nervous because now I have to put away my phone. I'm gonna give it to Ben, and I'm gonna get him to set an alarm for 24 hours from right now. So let's go find Ben, and then let's start this 24-hour readathon. Oh my god, how exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry for the really long intro. Let's get started. Okay, hi guys. So I've made it to page 114 of Can I Steal You for a Second. I have no idea how long it's been. Ben, how long has it been? Like an hour. An hour? It's been close to an hour, yeah. Okay, it's been an hour. Freaking hell, I feel like actually it's been 59 minutes. Has it? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Jesus, I feel like I read so much more when I don't have distractions around me. Me and Ben have ordered some lunch though. Ben ordered some sandwiches, so we will have lunch. But that'll probably be, my only breaks will probably just be like eating, basically. But I'm on page 114 of Can I Steal You for a Second, and I'm just immediately loving it. It's so fun, and I knew I would love it, so I'm really glad that I started with this. Basically, we follow our main character, Mandy, and she's recently gone through a really awful breakup with her ex-girlfriend, and she decides for like revenge, she's going to go on a show called Marry Me Juliet, which is basically just The Bachelor. It's all set in Australia, by the way, which is so fun because like I love the Australian sense of humor. And also they referenced another reality TV show, which was Real Housewives of Auckland. I live in Auckland. Real Housewives of Auckland was so iconic. But anyway, Mandy's going on the show, and at the audition process she meets a woman called Dylan. They start a very fast friendship, so I believe this is going to be friends to lovers because Dylan absolutely is the love interest 100%, and they both go on the show together. Once they're on the show together, Amanda kind of is like, oh my god, I'm catching feelings for Dylan. I'm also trying to get over my ex. She has a lot of self-doubt and insecurities because of how her ex-girlfriend treated her. Then she's also trying to like force herself to fall in love with like the male contestant, and it's just so good. Like, I'm a big reality TV lover, and what I love about this is that Amanda was like a massive fan of the show before she went on, so the way that she talks about reality TV is like the same way that I talk about reality TV. My favorite personally is Love Island, by the way. I'm obsessed with it. But it's just so nice to see like these women characters caring about something that is seen by society as like vapid, but can actually like mean a lot to a lot of people. Like, I feel like my comfort shows is reality television. It's so fun. I genuinely love it so much. I love just being able to turn my brain off and escape into this world of like beautiful people. So I just love that this book is kind of like a love letter to that, and it's also a sapphic romance, which I love so much. So there's really good discussions about like representation in media that is very much geared towards like a heteronormative society. So while the book is so fun and so like junk foody, much like reality TV is, it also has like really important messages, and I am just loving it. I'm loving the characters. It's so easy to read, it's so funny, and I just can't wait to experience more. I do kind of know where the story's gonna go because, you know, it is kind of happening in tandem with the first book in the series, but like I loved that book so much. That was 5 stars for me. So being able to see those characters again in like a different kind of context, a different limelight, is so nice, and I'm just obsessed with it. I'm just obsessed with it. So it's just like my perfect book, honestly. But yeah, I think lunch is nearly here, so I'm gonna take a quick break for lunch, and then I'm gonna dive straight back in. Ben is literally getting up reality TV on the television right now. But yeah, I'm very excited. So I'm gonna eat and then keep reading, and I'm just having the best time already. The fact that I've already read 114 pages in 1 hour. Granted, very fast-paced book, but still, so I'm impressed with myself. But yeah, love you guys. I will keep you updated with Can I Steal You for a Second. Okay, I'm now at page 244 of Can I Steal You for a Second, and I have less than 100 pages left, and I'm still absolutely loving it. That's really all there is to say. I'm still absolutely loving it. I do fear there's going to be a pretty dramatic third act breakup, which may last for a while because I think we're heading into that territory now, and I have like 100 pages left, so it's like I really don't want there to be like sadness for 100 pages, but I'm not sure. I could have that wrong. I could not be heading into third act breakup territory, but there's definitely like conflict, I think, between our two main characters. But I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it, and that's all I really wanted to say. And I am not feeling any sort of like, I'm not feeling lost or anything without my phone. It's actually been really refreshing. But I just went outside to check on my washing, and it's so sunny and beautiful outside. So I think once I finish this, I will choose my next book and read outside for like a while, I think, because it's so gorgeous. I'll probably want to get dressed into something a little bit more sun appropriate as well. Like, I don't want to wear the long sleeves while sitting in the sun. So that is my plan, is read this and then get dressed into something more summery and sit outside with a new book. So yeah, let's get this done. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I love it. I can't wait. I'm pretty sure this is going to be 5 stars. So the first book of this video being 5 stars would be so fun. I'm over the moon. I finished it. Oh my god, 5 stars. Like, to no one's surprise. Definitely not my own. Like, 5 stars, 100%. I knew that it would be so good, and it was so good, and the love story is beautiful, and it wrapped up so nicely. And I read the acknowledgements, and Jodie McAllister basically confirmed that there was going to be a 3rd book following one of my favorite side characters. Everyone just do yourselves a favor and pick up this duology. The first one is called Here for the Right Reasons. This one is Can I Steal You for a Second. Wait, I guess it's going to be a trilogy now. I don't even know, but it's just so good. Like, do yourself a favor and pick up these 2 books. And this is my first 5 star of November, and it's already like past halfway through the month. So I just feel very relieved and very happy, and yeah. I have no idea what time it is, so I have no idea like how long it took me to read that. I'm gonna guess it's maybe 3 o'clock, and in that case it would have taken me 4 hours, but I guess we'll just find out when I actually go on my laptop to update my Goodreads. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to try and take advantage of the sun. It kind of looks like the sun's gone down. Can you imagine if during those last 100 pages the sun went down? I'm gonna check. If the sun is still out, I'll get dressed and I'll start a new book, and I will let you know what I decide. I think something maybe a bit shorter for my second one, and then maybe picking up a longer one for the third, just to have like a little palette cleanser in between, but we will decide. All right, I'm gonna update my Goodreads and then choose the next book. Okay, the weather's not looking the best, but I still want to try and soak up some sun, so I put on my sunshine top to try and like manifest the sun coming back out. So I'm gonna go read outside. Hopefully it stays nice, or it gets nicer. But I think I'm gonna move on to one of my short books now, like I said, and I think I'm in a fantasy mood, so I'm gonna start with Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. This is only about 170 pages, so I feel like this will be a quick read, and I'm just like in a fantasy mood, and I feel like this is kind of like lo-fi fantasy, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like going to be like this massive world that I really have to come to terms with in terms of like the politics and stuff like that. I feel like it's going to be quite whimsical and very more of a focus on the atmosphere and the prose than, you know, the world building and the plot and stuff like that. So I think I'm gonna go with this one, which I think could be really fun. I have no idea what it's about, but I'm gonna go outside and start it, and I'll let you know how I feel about it a bit later on once I've gotten through more of it. And I still haven't touched my phone. Ben can contest to that. Is contesting going against, or is that agreeing?
Contend?
Yes, that's what I meant. Sorry, I am smart. Contend to that. Or can just prove.
Is that the word?
Is it contend? I
so.
thought contend was like you're a contender, so you're in a competition. I think we've been watching too much reality television and our brains are turning to mush.
I'm sure it's contend.
A test! That's what I meant.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's so bad of us. I almost don't want to put this in. Ben can attest to the fact that I haven't been looking at my phone. I haven't touched it once. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna go start this book. Okay, so I'm at page 100 of Every Heart a Doorway, so I'm just over halfway, which hasn't taken me very long at all. Like, it's a very, very short book. And I don't really know about this one, to be honest. Like, I think the concept is so freaking cool. Like, it's very, very cool, but I feel like execution-wise, it's not bad. It's more just like not to my taste in terms of the writing style and everything, which is not to say that like critically it's not good. It's just like personal preference kind of vibes right now. And I know that this book is very, very well loved, and I genuinely thought that I was gonna love it just like based on the concept. But I do feel like the shortness of the book is probably just not to my taste. Like, I think I like things to be very, very well explained and very well fleshed out, and I feel like this just isn't as much, and it's mostly just because of the length. It reminds me of some of the other books that I've read in the past where like, yeah, really good execution, really good idea, but like just the length of it. I know that's the point, but it's just like not for me, I suppose. But basically this book is about a boarding school, I suppose, which is pretty magical, and it hosts a bunch of kids or teenagers who have been to other worlds before. They've visited other worlds, they've gone through some sort of magical doorway to get to that other world, and then they've since come back. And basically they go to this boarding school, they get therapy, they meet all these other kids that have gone to these different worlds, and they also learn about other people's worlds because their therapist, who is like an old woman living in an 8-year-old's body, tells them that like to learn more about your own journey, you have to hear about the journey of others, which I think is a really cool concept. Like, I think the whole thing is so cool, and I feel like I would love this kind of magic system and this world so much if I just knew more about it. But I feel like because of the length and we're kind of jumping straight into the story, there's not a lot of room and time for world building, which I guess is the reason why it's such a long series. Like, there are so many books in the Wayward Children series, but they are all very, very short. They're all about this length. So I guess it's more of like reading the rest of the series to understand the world. But unfortunately for me, this book on its own, all 175 pages of this book, was about $35. New Zealand is kind of fucked when it comes to book pricing, do you know what I mean? So I just don't think I'm loving the writing style enough and the characters enough to then justify spending $35 on like the rest of the books, you know what I mean? And there's so many of them, so it's like that's hundreds of dollars if I was to buy the books and continue the rest of the series. And I know I can use the library, and I know I can buy them on my Kindle, but on my Kindle they're like $15 each. And then the library, like going to the library, and I love using my library, don't get me wrong, but I just don't know if I love this series enough to continue it. But then I don't know if I would get enough out of this story if I didn't continue the series, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm just making a lot of excuses for it right now, and for myself. It's fine that it's not my vibe. It's just, yeah, which it's a shame though, because I really wanted it to be, and I really do love the concept. Granted though, I haven't finished. I'm only just over halfway, so I think I'm going to quickly finish it now, and I will give you my full thoughts afterwards. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's not how I expected to feel about this, I don't think. But oh well, let's just keep reading. Let's keep reading. Okay, so I literally just finished Every Heart a Doorway, like literally just then. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it, to be honest, guys. I ended up getting more and more like not into it as it went on. I just unfortunately wasn't invested in any of the characters or the story, but like I can see why so many people love it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are some books that I don't love, but I can see why people love it, and then there are some books that I don't love that I'm like, this is so bad, I can't see why anyone likes this. This is not one of those books. This is one of the books where it's like, I can see why people love it 100%. It's just like a taste thing. Yeah, I just don't think I like stories that are this short. I like something that is like very well fleshed out and long, which is funny because I avoid like books over 500 pages like the plague. But I don't know, I feel like the perfect length for a book for me is like 350 pages. 300 to 350 pages is the perfect length. Yeah, I feel like if this just was a little bit more, I don't know the word, I feel like if there was just more, if there was more of it, I would really love it. But I just don't think I vibed with the writing style. And so yeah, I don't think I'll be picking up the rest of the series, which is unfortunate. But I still don't really know what I'm gonna rate this, because with this situation, it's like, do I rate what I think of it like critically, like as a novel, or do I rate with my heart and my enjoyment? Because if I'm rating from enjoyment, it will probably be a 2-star. And actually most of the time I rate from enjoyment, so this would probably still be a 2-star, but like that seems so harsh. I don't know, I'm gonna have to think on this one for a little bit, I think. But now I'm just gonna go plait my hair and put it into some braids, because it's annoying me. It's just being a bit, I just want to get it out of the way. And then I'm going to read another book. I think I've already decided what I'm gonna read though. I'm gonna go get it once again. Okay, yeah, I think once I've done my hair, I'm gonna make a start on The Poet X, because I need a contemporary in my life, and I feel like I need something super hard hitting. This is all written in verse, like in poetry, so I feel like it's gonna be very impactful and it's gonna make me feel emotional, and that's kind of what I'm in the mood for. So yeah, this is gonna be the next book, and I'm very excited, and I will start it in about 2 minutes as soon as I've just put my hair up. Okay, hello everyone. I have just finished eating dinner, so now I'm just settling in for a big night of reading, of course. I did make it up to page 254 of The Poet X, so I've actually read the majority of it, to be honest. Like, I think I only have 100 pages left, and it honestly is going by so fast because it is written in verse. But basically, we follow our main character, Xiomara, and she is Dominican, and she's living in Harlem. She's going through a lot. She's a bigger girl, she's got a lot of curves. She has a very religious family. They are very religious, to the point where her mother doesn't let her do anything. Like, she's not allowed to do anything because that will be going against the church and her mother's religion and stuff like that. And she's just always felt like she hasn't had a voice. So she starts to get into slam poetry. She starts liking a guy, which obviously causes a lot of drama for like her and her family, and it creates a lot of tension. And yeah, I mean, it's just a very beautifully written story. I'm not I've never really been into poetry. I've never really been like a poetry kind of gal, but like the poetry in here is just incredible. It's gorgeous, and there's so much that I can relate to. Obviously there's stuff that I don't relate to as well, but a lot of it I can relate to because it's just very much just an amazing coming of age novel, especially when Xiomara talks about being sexualized from a very early age just because of what her body looks like. My body started developing when I was very, very young, and you know, I started to look like, not so much my face, which is kind of creeps me out, but I started to look like a woman even when I was only like 11 or 12, and that caused a lot of just, I don't want to say trauma, no, but like it is kind of like, you know, being like catcalled when I'm like, you know, walking home from school, like from literal primary school, which I suppose is like elementary school in the States. Like it's kind of fucking crazy. Like it's actually crazy, and I feel like Elizabeth Acevedo has really just painted that picture and that experience for a young woman so well, like talking about like hating your body because of, not because of what it looks like to you, not because of an aesthetic thing, but because of how the world treats you because of what your body looks like. Getting slut shamed purely just because, you know, you have a larger chest and you have more curves than someone else. Like that experience is something that, like, you know, all of my busty girls can relate to, and it's awful and it's traumatizing. And then the way that Elizabeth Acevedo has kind of put my memories and my thoughts that I didn't have words for, like, into words and into poetry is just, it's very impactful, it's very powerful. I definitely had a few emotional moments when I read those passages. Yeah, it's scary. Especially as a girly with body dysmorphia as well. It's like there are so many factors that come into like my body image, and I've really like worked on it over my life, over the years, you know, so I'm in a good place. But there's a lot of like stuff that I had to deal with growing up when it came to that, just because of the fucking mental disorder I have when it comes to my body image, but also like because of how the world treated me. Yeah, I mean, it's a little different in here because our main character definitely doesn't look like me, but you know, like it's a scary thing, and it's the way it's been written is so good. And then like all the other stuff, like, you know, the feelings of liking someone for the first time, her not being able to, it's just very, very powerful, and I think it's going to be a very impactful finish. So yeah, I've got 100 pages left, so I'm going to start reading, and then I think after I finish this I may take my makeup off and get into PJs. But yeah, I think I'm gonna need to read something like kind of fluffier after this, to be honest, because it's quite intense. But yeah, I'm gonna go finish it off now, and I'll let you know how we go. Still going strong with the 24-hour readathon, still not hating reading, I'm loving it. I'm actually loving reading more than I have in the past couple of weeks, so yeah, it feels good. So let's continue. Guys, I finished the Poet X. That was gorgeous. That was absolutely gorgeous. What a perfect ending. I do, however, think that I'm probably going to be giving this 4 stars, purely of the fact that I just like am not the biggest poetry person, but like the story itself was so, it was amazing. It was so good, and it's honestly like a really, really, really high 4 stars. It's just, yeah, I think if it was this exact same story but told in like a non-poetry format, it would probably be 5 stars, honestly. But it's mostly just because I just enjoy reading books that aren't in verse a bit more. But I loved it. It was so good. I highly recommend this book. It's genuinely such a good coming of age YA novel, and yeah, not much else to say. I feel like I kind of got very vulnerable earlier and poured my heart out a little bit, so I feel like that's all that needs to be said. But yeah, it was really beautiful. And I know Elizabeth Acevedo has maybe one other book. I know she's got at least one other book out, so I actually can't wait to check that out now, because I don't think that one is written as poetry. So yeah, very excited to check that out, and I'm really happy that I read this. This was absolutely gorgeous. This was on my November TBR, and I actually had quite a few comments from people saying how good it was, and they were all correct. So yeah, really happy to have read this. I'm glad that this is the one that I got to. Now, however, because that was kind of an emotional experience for me, I would really love to move on to something not serious whatsoever. So I think I might start 5% Virtuosos, which is a dark romance between a rock star and maybe a stalker. I don't really know. I know that it is a retelling of Orpheus and Eurydice. It's a stalker and bully romance, and Aiden is an anti-hero. Like, this just feels like it's gonna be juicy. This feels like it's gonna be juicy, and I can just kind of, oh god, I just hit myself. I can just kind of turn my brain off a little bit when reading this. So I think this is the best step. This is the best next step. And yeah, I can't believe I've already read 3 books and we're not even halfway. Also, not even that, I also finished my Goodreads goal. I didn't even realize. So my Goodreads goal was 125 books for the year, and I'm pretty sure this was my 127th. So I didn't even realize I completed my Goodreads goal for the year in this video. That's so fun. I'm like a month and a half early. That's so exciting. I'm sitting here being like, should I up it to 150? No, that's silly. My goal for next year will probably be 150. This is the most books I've ever read in one year. Like, that's actually so crazy to me. I've read 127 books this year. Wow, new personal best. Anyway though, it's time for Vipers and Virtuosos. I think I'm gonna get dressed in my PJs and just get settled in and read some dark romance. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. This is gonna be a very, very different change of pace, and I'm excited for it. Hello everyone, I've taken my makeup off. I've come out to read in the living room because I want to try read for as long as possible, and Ben's gone to sleep, so I'm gonna try read out here. I don't know what time I'm gonna go to bed because I literally won't even be able to check the time except for the times when I go on my laptop to like update my Goodreads, but I'm gonna estimate that it's about 11:30, maybe midnight. I'm not totally sure. So I've just gotten up to part 2 of Vipers and Virtuosos, which is page 152, and I believe it's like a 400-page book, so I'm just slightly under halfway, but I'm really enjoying it actually. It is really fun and really juicy, which is exactly what I wanted, but it's also very dark. It is very dark, so not really the light and fluffy read that I was looking for, but definitely like the kind of junk food read, if that makes sense. Like, but our characters have definitely gone through some like pretty awful stuff, like some pretty shitty things are happening in here right now. But I just think Savannah Miller is just a really good writer, to be honest. Like, I feel like she creates these really like anti-heroes, like these characters that don't exactly do the best things, but she still gives them like a lot of depth and things to like root for when it comes to them. Like, she'll show like really gentle sides of the characters that aren't like the best people, which I just really enjoy when it comes to a dark romance. I don't want to read a dark romance about like a literal like murderer, rapist, like piece of shit. Like, I want to read a dark romance about characters that are like slightly morally grey. Although I'm not even halfway, so I don't really know what's going to happen, but I'll just tell you what the story is about so you can get a sense of everything. So we follow our 2 main characters, Riley and Aiden. Riley is 18 and she's gone through some really awful things. Like, she has gone through a lot of trauma. She basically had a really awful childhood and teenage years growing up, so she is living with her brother who is like in the mafia. Aiden is a famous rock star and he's 22, so there's a bit of an age gap, but they're still like both adults. Like, thank God. I don't think I could read this if it was like a teenager. He's a famous rock star, and him and Riley meet one night at this like live auction charity event sort of situation, and they end up having this like crazy like whirlwind night together, like going on this big adventure, and they honestly start to fall for each other in a way, but Riley's very like guarded obviously because of everything she's been through, and she runs away and like doesn't tell him her name or anything. And then the next day, this is where it gets quite dark. The next day it comes out in the papers, a photo of them together like at the park just sitting and chatting, but someone has leaked to the press that he has been accused of sexual assault by Riley. However, Riley has not done that. She's like, who the fuck, what psycho has done this? But it's not a super easy situation because of her history and like some of the really awful things that have happened to her, which have led to some things that she's had to do in the past, could come to light if her identity was revealed. So her mafia brother is like, you can't release a statement. So it's kind of an icky subject matter because, you know, it's like basically false accusations, but none of our main characters are really like at fault. Like Aiden hasn't done anything wrong, Riley hasn't done anything wrong, but it's just like this really awful situation. Anyway, we're now at part 2. I believe Aiden is trying to hunt Riley down and maybe get revenge, because it's a dark romance, and she's in hiding because she's like, I can't let my identity be revealed. So yeah, it's fucking dark, but I'm really excited to see what happens in part 2, especially because I was like, okay, like let's get into it. It's literally 3 years later. There's a 3-year time jump. I don't know what's going on now. I haven't started reading part 2, but yeah, it's definitely very intense, but it's also very, very enjoyable. Like I said, her writing is just really good. This is obviously following a myth, a Greek myth, I believe, but which I said at the beginning, it's about Orpheus and Eurydice, but I actually don't know what that myth entails or that story entails, so I don't know how close to the myth this retelling is. But yeah, it's really good right now. It's well written, the tension is so high, the suspense is so high, and this is definitely what I wanted. Like, I know I said I wanted something fluffy to read after The Poet X, but like this is also just as good, and I'm a big fan of dark romance at the moment. I'm so new to the genre. I'm like very, very new to the genre, but I want to get more into it. I just like know where my boundaries are. Like, I read the Devil's Night series, well, not the whole series, I read 2 books in the series, that one by Penelope Douglas, and I was like, yeah, that's not for me. So I think I don't like dark romances where the characters are actually like really irredeemable and disgusting, but I could get behind, you know, something like this. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading and see how long I can stay up. I definitely want to try and finish this at least before going to sleep, but if I pulled an all-nighter, that would be crazy. We'll see what happens. I'm gonna keep reading this book. I'm having the best coziest time, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll keep you guys updated. Okay, I fear I have to take back some of the things that I said about Vipers and Virtuosos at only page 180. So what's that, like 20 pages on? I take back what I said about her writing anti-heroes that are actually still good guys. I take it back. Because remember how when I first said I was going to read this and I thought that the girl was the stalker? No, so there is stalking and it's gross. It's really gross. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, I want to keep reading, but also like my eyes, I want to clean them. I fear that this book will rot my brain a little bit. I'm not finding it sexy. I don't really find dark romances sexy though. Like, I know they're usually very smutty and stuff, but I'm not like reading it for that. Like, it's more just like the juicy drama and how like messed up it is, and like I find reading about bad people kind of entertaining, but this got like way grosser than I thought, and I just wanted to retract my statement about Aiden being like a good guy secretly or whatever. He definitely was at the beginning. I was like, I love him, he's so fun, he's so charming, like brooding anti-hero, I get it. Now I'm like, oh, creep. Oh, he's a creep. Okay, I'm just gonna keep reading, but this book has definitely dropped down a couple of stars for me in the space of like 30 pages. Okay, no idea what time it is, but I'm pretty sure it's very, very late. So I think I might call it a night and just like go to bed, but hopefully wake up really early. Zuko's been waking us up pretty early recently, so that will give me more time to read tomorrow. before Ben's alarm goes off, and it's been 24 hours. I have about 130 pages left of Vipers and Virtuosos, and honestly I think the fact that like I'm just enjoying it less and less is one of the reasons that I want to go to bed now. I may start reading something on my Kindle, to be honest, like while I'm in bed, because I can read that with the light off. But yeah, I don't know, like I feel like the first one was so good, and we see a lot of the male love interest from the first book in this one, which is fab because I love him, so anytime he shows up it's great. But now it's like I feel like we're just getting heaps of like really heinous sex scenes, and I don't want that. Like it's so annoying because part one of the story was so good and I really liked it, and then now it's just like really gross. I don't know, I think a lot can happen in 130 pages, so I will still finish this in the morning, but it's just a massive disappointment considering how the beginning was and the first book in the series as well. So I don't know if I'll continue the series. I mean, I know that they're all kind of like standalones, so you know, depending on like the plot and like the tropes of like the other books in the series, I could give them a go, but this one's definitely not going to be my favorite if I do continue it, which is fine. I mean, when it comes to a romance series, when they're like when it's a bunch of standalones, like sometimes there's always a dud. But anyway, I'm going to go to bed now, so I will see you bright and early in the morning with hopefully some reading updates on my Kindle book, and we can finish this and hopefully have time to read something new as well. But yeah, book 4 not going super great. Anyway, I'm gonna sleep now. Love you guys. Good morning. I don't feel very awake, but I'm up. Don't know what time it is, don't know how much longer I have to read for, so we're just gonna start. Let's finish Vipers and Virtuosos first and see how long we read for. Ben made me a coffee, so I'm feeling so much more refreshed. I think I've been awake for like an hour. I finished Vipers and Virtuosos. Look, it's a tricky one because like in the beginning there's an author's note. It basically says some of the trigger warnings, and it says Aiden is an anti-hero. He will do things you won't like and he may not be sorry about them, and if you're not comfortable with that, don't read this book. Which is, I think, an important disclaimer and a good disclaimer. And the thing is, like, I understand that for sure, but on a personal level I just couldn't get behind the characters by the end. And I know that that's the purpose of the book. I know what a dark romance is. I know that it's going to be characters that I don't particularly like, but like I just preferred the first one so much more, and I just feel like this one was a bit too filthy. Like there was just too much sex in it, and like I know that it's dark romance, I know there's supposed to be sex, but like just from personal preference, this one wasn't for me, but the first one in the series is. So I think, yeah, like I said, I think earlier, I'm going to look up what the like tropes are and the myths are for like the other books in the series and decide if I want to read them. It's okay that this one isn't as good as the first one. The next ones in the series might be great. So yeah, I think I'm gonna give it 2 stars. That's how I'm feeling about it. And yeah, now I am feeling really tired. I'm like, I've just finished my 4th book of the 24-hour readathon. I have no idea what's going on in the world, so I don't know when I'm finishing. I don't know how much longer I have, so I think I'm going to go back to Stalking Jack the Ripper, and instead of starting a new book, I think I'm just going to try and read some more of this. So like I said before, I was up to page 124. I haven't picked this up in a couple of days though, so I'm just gonna see if I can get back into it and continue reading this, and I doubt that I'll be able to finish it. Well, I don't know what time it is. I'm assuming it's like 9:30, 10. I don't think I'm gonna finish it in that time, but it'll still be good to like make some progress on this, which is gonna be my 5th book. Oh my god, that's actually crazy. I haven't done a 24-hour readathon like this in ages, where I read so much and it's just like a normal 24-hour readathon. Like I'm not doing a timer or anything like that. That's insane. I'm gonna update my Goodreads and then I'm going to start reading this.
Time's up.
Thank you. Time's up. I made it. Time's up. I made it to page 224. I'm gonna finish this chapter because I'm in the middle of a chapter, and then we're gonna wrap up the 24-hour readathon. Okay, let's wrap up this 24-hour readathon. I had so much fun. I'm so happy with everything that I read. I had the best time ever. Honestly, I haven't even picked up my phone yet because I'm like, I just feel so detached from the world in like a really good way, I think. Like no one messaging me. Look, to be honest, I'll probably pick up my phone and the only notifications will be like, be real. That's it, probably. But yeah, I'm I'm just so happy. Let's do a rundown of everything that I read during the 24-hour readathon. So I read 5 books and I completed 4 of them. The first book we read was Can I Steal You for a Second by Jodie McAllister, which I gave 5 stars. Such a strong start to the readathon. Honestly, I love this series so much. It's so good and everyone should read this book. Like, please read this book. Then we read Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire, which I actually ended up giving 2 stars purely based on personal preference, but definitely like a really high 2 stars. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it for what it is. I just don't think it's like my cup of tea, basically. Then we read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo, which I gave 4 stars. A very powerful coming of age novel, all told in verse, really beautiful. This is definitely my second favorite of the readathon and like a very highly recommended book by me. We then read Vipers and Virtuosos, which I gave 2 stars based on the fact that it's not to my taste but also not very good in my opinion. But I do think Seb R. Miller is a very talented writer. I just really didn't like all of the ideas that were in this novel. Just, yeah, not for me. And then I got up to page 231 of Stalking Jack the Ripper from page 124, so I read 110 pages. I have under 100 pages left, so I definitely will be finishing this soon, but I'm really enjoying this. Funnily enough, I'm enjoying the romantic subplot like far more than the actual mystery at the moment. Whereas at the beginning of the novel, I was like so obsessed with the mystery, but now I'm like, no, give me the romance, like let's speed it up. But it's like honestly perfect enemies to lovers, to be honest. But yeah, really enjoying this YA historical mystery, so we'll be finishing this very soon, I'm sure. But yeah, here are all the books that I read. I'm so happy with this. Getting 4 books off my physical TBR feels like such an accomplishment, and like finishing my Goodreads goal as well for the year, I'm over the moon. But yeah, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this 24-hour readathon vlog. Let me know if you want me to do more like this where I put my phone away, because honestly it was just so refreshing and I'm so glad with like how much I read. Of course, a reminder that all my socials are linked down below, so if you do want to follow me on BookTok or Bookstagram or Twitter or Twitch or anything like that, they're all linked down there, as well as the link to my Patreon. So if you do want more exclusive content from me, some extra content, extra live shows and stuff like that, all the information of the benefits are on the page as well. So yeah, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I love you lots so much, and I'll see you very soon in the next one. Bye.